Have you ever caught yourself trying to predict if an intro student will join the dojo, or how long they'll continue training, or make other kinds of predictions about students? When I first started teaching, I found myself doing this often, but I don't do it anymore. It doesn't even occur to me to try to predict these things anymore, and it feels great to be free of this. Of course, the reason that some teachers find themselves predicting is usually a positive one. It's usually simply because they want to grow their dojo and share the art they love with more and more people. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how to let go of trying to predict a new student's future level of commitment and why it's important to let go of it. Hi, my name is Leah Suzuki, and I'm the director of Aikido Kenkyukai International, USA, headquartered in Los Angeles, California. And I'm the author of the new book called The Teacher from the Aiki Dialogues collection. Welcome to my virtual dojo, where I give you tools to help you become the best teacher you can be while not having to compromise your values or miss out on your own training. Before we jump into the video content today, I want to put a resource in your hands that's free. I want to give you my teacher training checklist called The 3 Golden Rules of Teaching. It's a simple PDF guide. You can download it, print it out if you want, just keep it on your device if you want, on your phone, whatever works for you. The checklist will help you gain confidence as a teacher, reduce stress around teaching and managing your dojo, and it'll help you encourage and empower your students to increase their progress. Again, all while not having to compromise your values or sacrifice your own training. You can download it at leahsuzuki.com/golden rules. That's got a couple of dashes in it, leah-suzuki.com/golden-rules. Or just click the link in the description below this video. I hope you enjoy the gift, and I hope you take action on it. So let's talk about predicting a student's future level of commitment. I've known a lot of dojo-cho and actually my own students sometimes who say, "Oh, what about that new person? They seem like they're going to join, right?" Of course, there's another scenario actually where people go like, I don't know, that person's tough enough to do it. But anyway, either way, they're both just speculation. And so I don't find them really that valuable. Your energy is worth more than that, quite frankly. So here are some reasons why I feel that I would urge you to try to get rid of this. Just let go of this habit of yours and try not to feed it when you see it in your students as well. One reason to let go of it is that it's possible for it to impact the way you treat that student. If consciously or subconsciously you already have your mind made up that that person's definitely going to train for the next 10 years. Or that's what I do a lot actually. And then I push them into like some level of commitment that they're very surprised by and not ready for. Or sometimes the opposite. Like, oh, this student's never going to make it 2 weeks even, and then there they are 5 years later. So we don't want our predictions, whether they're correct or incorrect, to inform how we treat that person. If you decide, for example, that a certain student will not make it too far, they'll never come back for their second class, or they'll make it only a few months and then they're not going to. It could also, here's the second reason, it could also, your students might pick up on that. And then your students might be treating this new person in the same way. Like, well, this person's not coming back. Or sometimes you have students who do the opposite, like, oh, you have to sign up. I have had students like that. They get really excited when somebody new comes in the door. And so they'll be like, oh, hi, oh, are you going to join? Are you going to join? you know, and that can kind of be annoying too if it's too much. And then I'll get back to one of the reasons that I said at the very beginning. It's just your energy going somewhere where it doesn't need to go. If you let those predictions go, then 100% of your energy can go towards teaching, running your dojo. As I said earlier, usually it comes from a good place, but there are some dojos where it almost takes on kind of a hazing taste to it, flavor to it. I think those dojos are decreasing in number, actually, which makes sense. But I have seen that, so be on the lookout for that too. You know, if your students are like, you know, placing bets on how, that's kind of strange. But like I said, I think that that's kind of more in the past, and I think it comes from insecurity, people needing to feed their own ego. So I want to share a couple of stories just to sort of drive the point home. I'm going to start with a couple of here's one of my favorite stories is Jake. Jake was such a good guy. And he called me up. This was before texting and all of that. It was about 2000 it was about 2001 maybe. He called me up and he said, "Hi." This is almost word for word what he said. If you've seen some of my other videos, you might have already heard this Jake story, but almost word for word, he said something to the effect, "Hi, I have studied all the spiritual arts, and I have specifically left Aikido as my last study because I know that it's the best. But I do have one question. And that is, can I reach spiritual enlightenment through Aikido?" And I was having a crazy day to begin with. And so I had this question and I just kind of rolled my eyes and I said, "Sure, see you at 6:30. And he said, "Oh, okay, great. See you then." And he showed up. He was a fantastic guy. And he, proclaimed that he was going to do this forever. Before his first class and after his first class, he proclaimed that, he made that proclamation. And this was when I was just starting my Santa Barbara dojo. And I had many times when just Nick showed up. So Jake was great to train with. He had a fantastic first night. Nick heard him say, like, "Yeah, he said that he's going to do this forever, and this is his favorite spiritual path, etc., etc." And he said, "Well, this one's coming back, right, Sensei?" After Jake had left. And I said, I don't know why, but I'm getting like 3 weeks. That's what I'm kind of feeling. And he goes, "Really?" He said he's going to do it forever. And I was like, it's still the first night, Anyway, I really doubt that my prediction had that strong of an impact, but I swear it was 3 weeks. So my prediction was correct. And Jake did a fantastic job in those 3 weeks. I think he moved out of town or something, but I'm not even sure. Didn't say goodbye, never heard from him, couldn't track him down. But anyway, my prediction was right. Oh, yay, I was right. No, I don't think so. Who cares if I was right or wrong? Then another student, she was, I think she was like 47 years old when she came to me, and I was just back from Japan, and I had this dream of, having this hardcore dojo. So we just went, and I rarely spoke, and I always trained in with my students for most of the class. I rarely spoke, and my students told me one time that, like, "Oh, no, when you do speak, it's in Japanese." I was like, "Oh." So anyway, it was really intense. And so she came in saying that she wanted to get rid of her baby weight. She had 2 children, And she may or may not have told me she had vertigo. Anyway, being, fresh back from Japan and a new Aikido teacher, I just went to throw her at one point when we were doing some sort of technique that ended with Mayu Kemi, forward roll. I went to throw her. I slowed down and everything because I knew it was her first night, but I didn't, in those days, I didn't teach how to roll. I do now. But anyway, she took the roll. Bumpy. It was bumpy. And then when she finished the roll, she was on all fours and she looked at me, and I was about to walk away because I was like, ooh, that was a little rough. That was a little bumpier than I expected, and I'm going to let her kind of digest that. And when I went to walk away, she looked at me and she goes like this, like, no, don't go. I'm coming. Like, she didn't say anything, but that's what her eyes said. And I was like frozen. I couldn't walk away. And she got herself up and she came back over to me. And then I think I changed the technique and gave her a backward fall, But last I heard, she is very sick now, maybe. But she continued for, I want to say, at least 20 years. I didn't predict that frankly, I don't know if I've ever told her this, but I didn't predict that she would make it through that class, let alone come back for a second class, let alone continue training for 20 years. Another fantastic story, Betsy, man, I think she was like 22, 23 years old or something. So, she was young and able-bodied, and I could push her pretty quickly through I could have her progress pretty quickly. And again, it was still really intense in those days, and very little talking, very little verbal explanation. So she started crying, like almost immediately after the warm-ups, and we hadn't really done much. And then it was only like maybe 2 other students on her first night, really nice people, being very gentle. So we all took it really easy on her. And I kept saying things like, are you hurt? Are you injured? Does your shoulder hurt? Does your knee hurt? Things like that. And she was like, no, and she cried for most of that first class. And afterwards we talked more, and I said, you sure that physically you're okay? And she said, yeah. And I said, is there something else that she goes, I don't know. She didn't know why she was crying. And then for the next, and she never missed class. Pretty sure she never missed class. We were training about 3 days a week in those days. For the next 3 months, she cried at least a little bit, at least a minute or two during every single class. And then one day I noticed, oh, Betsy hasn't cried in a few months. And I asked her, like, what was that about anyway? Like, you don't do that anymore, right? Am I just not seeing it? She's like, no, I don't do it anymore. It's like, what was that about? She goes, I don't know. It was just somehow so intense, and it moved me at a deep level. I was like, wow. And during that crying phase, we even went to a seminar one time. We went on a little road trip up to the Bay Area. And she cried for most of the classes there. And some black belts were coming over to me and go, hey, is your student okay? And I was like, what do you mean? Oh, you mean Betsy? Is she crying? They're like, yeah. And my other students and I, we were all like, oh, she's fine. That's just what she does. Anyway, she continued training for a few years. And if I had to predict, I would have predicted that at best she would make it for a few classes, because right away she was crying for most of the class that first night. I hope you found that helpful. In conclusion, I really recommend that you let go of this habit of trying to predict a new student's future level of commitment. It really serves no purpose. It takes your energy. It could possibly impact how you and your other students treat the new student. By letting go of this habit, you'll free up your energy for other more important things, and you'll be more your authentic self with this new student, with your interactions with them. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let me know in the comments section below what you thought of the video, and also what you struggle with the most. And let me know if you ever try to predict a student's future habits. Again, I want to give you a gift, my teacher training checklist, the 3 golden rules of teaching martial arts, to help you gain confidence as an instructor, encourage your students, and reduce stress around teaching and managing your dojo. Just click on the link below, or in your browser, type in leah-suzuki.com/golden-rules. Again, leahsuzuki.com/golden-rules. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.